In this video, I'm going to be giving a tactical analysis of the Champions League matchup between Chelsea and Bayern Munich. To start with the basic shapes of both teams, Chelsea lined up in their 3-4-3 that they played against Tottenham on the weekend, and Bayern Munich lined up in their 4-2-3-1 formation. Let's start with Bayern Munich's shape when in possession of the ball, and how Chelsea matched up with that. So here we can see Boateng is on the ball, and Bayern have pushed the front four forward. Thomas Muller played as sort of a number 10, more on the right-hand side on his preferred side of the field, but definitely floated to both sides of the field. Kimmich and Thiago played as a double pivot in behind the front three pressing Chelsea players, and the fullback stayed high and wide. Bayern dominated possession and dominated pretty much the whole game. One way they progressed the ball up the field was down the wings. So for this example, we'll show that Bayern Munich swing the ball from the right side to the left. And as Alaba gets the ball in the back line, Kimmich drops in, as does Gnabry off the left wing spot. So Kimmich drops in here and Gnabry drops in here behind the three pressing forwards. Now as Chelsea shift over, Giroud would get drawn to Kimmich in the middle. And the two outside center backs for Chelsea, Rudiger and Azpilicueta, were very man-to-man oriented. Gnabry dropped off like this quite often. Coman didn't do so much on the left side. So what we would see as Chelsea shift here is Azpilicueta comes up with Gnabry quite often. And as I said before, Giroud steps up with Kimmich. So we can see that rotation here. The midfielders come across and the remaining three defenders come across. Reece James presses the left back Davies. And now we can see where some of the problems happen for Chelsea down the left-hand side. The remaining forwards here for Bayern shift across to the middle of the field, and now the ball gets played wide to Davies. Now, since Azpilicueta has been drawn into midfield by Gnabry, there's this big gap in between the ball where Reece James is pressuring and Christensen in the middle. Because of Gnabry's pace, he would run past Azpilicueta here down the left wing. And now the Chelsea defense would shift back to help. Now what would have to happen is Christensen would have to come across. And as the center of the back three, this leads to a lot of problems. So we see that Bayern Munich join in the attack. And because Christensen is out here, now Chelsea are only left with two defenders in the box because Azpilicueta was played out, Reece James was pressing, and now Christensen has stepped out. So only Rudiger and Marcus Alonso are in the box to defend any crosses. So in the first half, they got a good chance off of this. It was a Muller header that went off the crossbar. Another way that Bayern Munich would progress the ball up the field was through the middle. So like I said, how Chelsea pressed before, Giroud would come up to Kimmich. But also, the outside of the front three would try to prevent the ball from getting played wide because of what we just saw. So what happens here is Mason Mount steps to the outside of Alaba to make sure that the ball can't progress out wide easily. But now this leaves a situation in the middle of the field. Thiago drops into this space and receives the pass. And now because Muller is playing as a 10, he is behind both of Chelsea's holding midfielders. So if Kovacic didn't step across to help on Muller, he was wide open. This left Jorginho in a confusing situation because if Jorginho steps, Thiago just plays the pass by him. And if Jorginho drops off, then Thiago just dribbles into the space. And this now you're either forcing another defender to come help, or Thiago has enough time and space to pick a pass, which isn't what you want as a Chelsea defender. Another thing that would happen is the ball gets played into Muller here behind the Chelsea holding midfielders, which means that one of the back three would step. And a lot of times, Christensen would be the one to step, which would be a big mistake because then Rudiger is here, Azpilicueta could drop in behind here, but now there's this gap in between them that's very big and easy to play passes through, which Lewandowski took advantage of. Another time he took advantage of this situation was on the first goal from Gnabry. Gnabry received the ball and Azpilicueta slipped and fell. So Christensen stepped out to stop Gnabry, but then Rudiger was behind Christensen on the backside, which left a huge gap in between for a blindside run from Lewandowski. Then they tried to recover, but then Lewandowski played it back across and Gnabry scored. This even happened on the third goal when Davies beat James down the line. Christensen came wildly across, slid in, and got beat by Davies as well. And so as he progressed up the field, Rudiger had to come across, and Lewandowski was wide open in the middle of the field for the goal. On the Chelsea side of things, this is how they set up to build out of the back. Against the 4-2-3-1, Chelsea naturally would have had their double pivot of Kovacic and Jorginho up against just Muller. However, Bayern Munich played very man-oriented and stepped in, and the other center midfielder would step onto the double pivot. So we can see here pretty much every single Chelsea player is covered man-to-man and can't play out. So what Chelsea tried to do to build around this was Jorginho would drop very deep, sometimes even deeper than this, and making a back four to try to help Christensen if Lewandowski followed him. However, yet again, Bayern would just shift and played man-to-man and press them this way so they could never play short out of the back. One way that Chelsea tried to get out of this was playing long to Giroud early on, where he would win a header and flick it on for one of the attacking midfielders, either Mount or Barkley, to his left and right. This worked pretty early on and created a couple of decent opportunities. If Chelsea could actually get their build-up working and Jorginho came on the ball, this happened once or twice here. Jorginho was on the ball. Giroud would sort of make a run across the defense, which would draw Alaba closer to him and bring Boateng across as well. Jorginho then would sort of fake like he's going to pass out to Reece James or Marcus Alonso, one of the wingbacks, which would draw the fullback from Bayern Munich out wide to cover this pass, which then left one of the two outside attacking midfielders in a lot of space. In this case, it was Mount, who then would break in behind. So those were really the main two attacking threats for Chelsea. So overall, Bayern Munich's domination of possession and ability to play either through the lines or around Chelsea is what hurt them. In the defensive phase, Christensen for Chelsea stepped out of position way too often and allowed a lot of blindside runs in behind him that led to Bayern Munich's chances and, in the end, goals. Thanks for watching the video, and please leave any feedback in the comments.